If you can master these 6 core points, these 6 pillars in baseball pitching, there's a good chance that MLB is going to come calling for you. How's it going, everybody? And happy Friday. I'm Coach Jason with Arm Pitching Development, 25-year pitching coach at the collegiate level and high school level. I also run the pitching development program at 643 KC Baseball Academy, and I'm the head pitching coach there as well. And then I just got assigned to Calvary University this year, so I'll be coaching there. Anyways, just a little bit about me and my background. I've come up today with the 6 pillars to baseball pitching. I think this is going to be a nice little seminar education for you guys. If you can get a combination of these pillars, of these elements to pitching down, and you can master them, there's a good chance that you could be a professional athlete, given that you put your time in and do the work. So if you have questions, put those in the comment section. Please do me a favor as we go through the video and hit the like button for me, as it helps promote the video to more people and helps grow the channel so I can do more content like this. So let's dive into the 6 pillars to baseball pitching, right? Everybody's excited out there. So the first pillar I've got is mindset, right? So what is mindset? It's your thought process. A lot of different things going on in your brain when you're trying to throw a pitch. And so this is pillar 1 for me. I do want to be clear. I don't know that this is any specific order to these. These are just my order that I put them in. Why don't you tell me your order that you would put these in the comment section as we go through that? I'll be curious to know where you guys think certain elements rank on your hierarchy of matters of importance. That'll be an interesting engagement for you guys out there. But going into the mindset of things, I've got some points here, right? This is, if not more important than your physical skill. If you don't have the mental state to compete, to work, to handle the pressures that come along with the environment of pitching, obviously you're going to run into some pretty severe roadblocks, even if you are a very skilled or very talented person in terms of baseball pitching. If you're not really mentally capable or ready to handle the stage at all the different levels, then you're definitely gonna have a hard time making that or getting to that point, right? So in our training, or my training model, and I know you don't, maybe you've seen, but in the facility, what I have is a clipboard. And it's basically a daily layout or a sheet that has everything that we're going to get done for the day in it. And on the top of that sheet, it says focus, intent, commitment, and feedback. So I thought I would share that with you guys today and break that down. So when we train, when we go through our workout environment, whatever we're trying to accomplish, are we doing it within inside of these 4 things, these 4 elements, right? How is our focus on any given point in time with what we're working on? If it's a drill, are we focused in the drill? If it's on the mound, are we focused on the pitch that we're throwing on the mound? Are we trying to put more purpose, more thought behind what we're trying to accomplish? So focus is going to be number 1 in our training environment and on the mound as we're going into competition. How focused are you on any given pitch or play? Intent has to do with your drive, your willingness to compete, right? What are the intentions behind any given throw or any given aspect to your training? Are you fully intent on getting better, or are you just kind of going through the motions with it? Are you blindly throwing pitches in your bullpen just to throw another rep? That's not really helping you. So how intentful are you? How intentful are things for you when you're training or when you're competing, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is the commitment level. How committed are you For instance, throwing a pitch. Are you committed to that location? Are you committing all your energy to getting the ball to where you want it? And then it also goes into your training style too. Are you very committed to your process, to your training, to your workouts, whatever your routine is? How committed are you to that? Are you once or twice? Are you really living out the schedule that I put out for you or for your coach? Are you doing all these things, right? So commitment's number 3. And then what is the feedback? So every pitch, every rep, everything gives us feedback, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. There's a level of feedback that comes along with this. Understanding that feedback or that result, right, gives us an idea or a thought on how we want to proceed with the next rep, the next pitch, the next workout, the next exercise, right? So what is the feedback, and understanding the feedback, processing the feedback, and then growing from the feedback. So we're never failing, we're always learning. Okay. And then controlling the things you can control. This is something that we worked hard on at the collegiate level. And because emotions can run high, and I know that they can run high at the youth level as well, but at the collegiate level, you see a lot of emotion because there's such a high stakes on all these games to win. And reining that in a little bit to controlling the factors that are in your control will help you emotionally settle things a little bit more for you. Okay, if you throw a pitch and it's a ground ball to second base and the second baseman makes a mistake and you don't get the out, you having bad body language or you taking it out on your teammate is not really helping the situation, right? And that's something that you cannot control. You can control the outcome of your pitch, how you direct the pitch, right? And how you think about things. These are some of the things that are in your control. So that'll be another element that you'll want to work on as you grow inside of your mindset. Okay, be present with your pitch. What does that mean? Being present is in the moment, right? Is your thought process going towards the runner at first? Is it thinking about the, mom in the stands? Is it thinking about what my coach is going to think about me at the end of this game? So eliminating all these thoughts, breathing, relaxing yourself, calming your state of mind, and then just really being present with your current pitch or your current training environment, on your current rep that you're working on, whatever it is, if it's skill based. But I would argue that mindset is also a skill in itself. So getting better and being more present in your mindset towards things is going to help you tremendously become a lot better pitcher at the end of the day. And then number 5, something that I used to do when I was in high school and college playing is work on my visualization and prep work. And really throughout my entire career as a baseball pitcher, but I did a lot of visualization where I would just close my eyes, especially before I would go to sleep. If I knew I was a starting pitcher in the next game, the next day, I would pitch that game in my mind and see myself being successful in that game before I even went into the next day to the game or to the mound. I'd already lived out this game. So that, I feel like, helped me to a good degree in terms of being a pitcher, was the visualization component of it. You could also do this with your training modes and your exercises and whatever you're working on, is visualize them, see yourself being successful, and then executing. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, number 2 pillar for me is your mechanics. The very foundation of your pitching is the mechanics and what you work by, right? And having a good understanding about how your machine drives. Every athlete is different, and they operate and act and react differently to different training styles and modes and things that are going on, and emotional states and mental states and all these other things that go on. Everybody's a little different. So it's really hard to put this into a box, okay? But what I've done is I've I've created a shell, right, in which to operate by. These are some core elements that you want to strive for to get to in order to be maybe a little bit better pitcher mechanically, a little more efficient mechanically. Okay. Mechanics also help you reduce the risk of your injuries. Okay. So if you have a latent arm action, you're dragging your arm, your hips are too closed off, there's a lot of different things that can go wrong in your pitching mechanics. And wrong is subjective a little bit to the viewpoint of the person working and person coaching. So take this for what it's worth. If you're watching the video, obviously you hold this to some value. So being efficient in your mechanics is going to help you reduce the risk of injury and then have a longer career, which I do remember a coach saying a long time ago in California when I was playing out there. He said, Jason, you know what your greatest ability is for this team? And I said, oh, my ability to throw strikes or throw the ball hard or, something to that effect. And he said, no, none of those things. He said, your greatest ability is your availability to pitch, to play the game on any given day. And I really thought about that, and if you're not available, you're not an asset any longer to the team and you're not helping contribute, at least from a competitive standpoint, right? So anyways, fun story there for you guys. Maximizes your effectiveness, right? If you have good, efficient mechanics, you're really in tune with how to throw the ball over the plate, then that's going to go and lead into more successful events in terms of your pitching, right? And then here's my core points to pitching on the breakdown. What you might do is take some screenshots of the card deck. Actually, what I may do is make the card deck available. If you'll put in the comments, hey coach, send me a copy of the card deck. I'll reach out and get your email or something like that, and then I'll email them over to you if you don't already have my email address, and I'll be happy to send this card deck to you. So load, balance, and posture is number one. So load your leg lift, and then your posture as you're going through your pitch matters. And then low balance break line, right, when we're getting ready to engage into our stride length. And then our hand brake, right, making sure we're braking efficiently on top and then going into a good arm spiral. Stride, direction, and separation. So our stride length matters, the direction of our stride length matters, and then the degree of separation. If you look at the picture here on the card deck, you'll see the young man in his stride length and separation. So when we talk about hip shoulder separation, this is an idea of what it looks like in separation. And the greater degree of separation in your pelvis, then the greater degree of force that you can put behind the ball. I'm not an overly driven person on the science, overall super science behind everything, but I understand it, right? And then I coach it and teach it to the best of my ability. Okay, then arm action and timing. So timing is really a big key component. If there's timing pieces off, your arm is way behind when you land your front leg, and that if the timing of your arm action is off, if the timing of the sequence of your lower half is off, there's going to be a breakdown in efficiency in your mechanics. So it's going to be really important. So if you watch some of my earlier videos, you'll see balance, direction, and timing is my key core components. And then I've branched that out a little bit to give you guys more construct and detail. But so arm action and timing, right? Having a good flow and feel for everything as you're moving down the hill. And then finally, the throw, finish, and follow through. Squaring up, driving through the target, extension, release extension for perceptual, velocities, and disruption of timing from the hitters is going to be important as well. Okay, so that's just mechanics in a nutshell. If you want to learn more, I invite you into the channel, and I have all sorts of videos on mechanics for me. So, all right, let's move on to the next card deck. So number 3, so we had mindset, we had mechanics, and now we have velocity, okay? This is an exciting one for everyone, right? Because everyone wants to throw the ball hard. I know I wanted to throw the ball hard when I was still pitching. And this is a very major key factor to getting to higher levels of baseball, okay, is your arm talent, right? And so let's go into some key contributors. I also do want to note that you'll see Chapman here on the top screen. Okay, that is in separation as well, and he has one of the greatest degrees of separation that I've ever seen as a baseball pitcher. Okay, so key contributors can be genetics, right? And I tell the guys this a lot, that I feel like some guys are just born with an awesome arm. Okay, and it's, you can work as hard as you want, but some guys just have arm talent, I swear. And so it's genetics, I think, is a big key component to it, right? Height and weight can play into your velocities, your strength levels, right? Mobility and flexibility. You see a lot of pitchers like Chapman here has long arms, long levers, okay, long legs, and that all helps him maximize his velocities is through his throw. Efficiency in the mechanics, right? Going back to the previous card deck. And then also going into rest and recovery routine, right? Are you getting enough rest, or are you overtraining your body? So something to consider is your program that you're working through, or how you're conducting yourself. Maybe you need more sleep. Maybe you need to throw less. You know, some guys are just, everyone's a little different. So you need to identify those things for yourself. Okay, your food intake and hydration. Look, you've heard the term before, you are what you eat. There is some truth to that. When you're younger, you can kind of eat a little bit more trash and burn that trash up a little bit easier, and then maintain weight or whatever it is. But usually you want to eat a little better foods, okay? And then make sure that you're maintaining a good balance with your hydration and not just drinking soda all the time, okay? And then what is your training routine? That will matter into your velocity of things. And then mental state, going back to card deck one. And then what are your intentions behind throwing the baseball? That kind of goes back into that focus, intent, commitment. So what are your intentions? Do you intend to throw the ball hard, or are you just throwing to throw? Okay, so a little bit of that matters as well. I have an example on here, powerful stride, right? So looking at Chapman, an efficient arm slot can help generate ground force that moves up the body and into the ball, right? That's the kinetic chain. Hip shoulder separation maximizes potential energy, right? And then it's when potential is stored, and then how do we transact that at the end, right? And so it's always potential until we release that energy, which is released during the throw. Okay, strong legs and stable core are needed to generate force and maintain balance during the throwing motion, right? Core strength is not just your stomach muscles, okay? It's your hips, your glutes, abdominals, right? Your lumbar spine. All these things go into combination with having a stronger core to operate by. How well do we transfer the energy up from your legs through your core and then out through your arm? Okay, guys. So, anyways, interesting stuff on velocity, and we'll come back to it at a later date, maybe on velocity, maybe some more stuff. But for right now, that's good enough. Let's go on to the next card. So pillar number 4 is your command, right? I don't want to get this confused with control. So this is more specific. Control of your pitch is being able to throw a strike over 17 inches and whatever the umpire's strike zone is. That would be a control point. Your command is throwing the ball where you want it to go, okay? And then sometimes it's not just for a strike, it's sometimes for a ball, but it's being more purposeful behind your pitch. And like I said, it goes beyond throwing strikes, because sometimes you want to throw a pitch that's maybe 2 balls off the plate on purpose to set up another pitch, right? So learning these things and knowing these things in your command is going to be extremely important at the end of the day. Here's some keys to improve your command. Practice throwing to specific targets and locations often. I don't think this is a mystery. I think this is something that you just have to go out and do more often, maybe. Okay, and work on your concentration. That goes back to card deck 1 and our mindset. What are you focusing on? What you focus on, you tend to achieve or get. Keep your eyes and head still. I see this a lot when guys want to throw harder. They'll yank their heads or yank their body in an abrupt manner. The ball has a tendency to follow the eyes. Okay, something to remember when you're pitching or training is keep your head and your eyes still on where you want the ball to go. You'll have a better, greater degree of success while doing that. Okay, improve your throwing and pitch mechanics. Correct. So going back to the mechanic piece on pillar number 2, improving that will also help improve your command of your pitch, right? So pretty cut and dry on the command piece. Let's go on to the next card deck or card. So pillar number 5 is movement. All right. So movement to me is I think a lot about fastballs because I was a primarily fastball dominant pitcher when I was younger. But what I like to see is movement on fastballs. Do they have life? Do they have a name to them, right? Versus just a very straight pitch. When I was playing at higher levels, they looked a lot at what swing and miss ratio you were on your pitches, and what pitches had greater degrees of swing and miss than other pitches. And then you worked harder on those and then also worked on the pitches that weren't getting as much movement and how could they be a little bit better and more efficient for you. Okay, so the best pitchers have a variety of pitches with different movement. Okay, so it's not just fastballs. It's not just varieties of fastballs, which it can be, sinkers and two seams, however many ever different fastball variants you have, but also your change-ups, curveballs, sliders, etc. Right, and then work on your off-speed pitches often. A lot of time is spent on fastball focus. As you grow and get older, spend more time working on your spins. Okay, and then working on your spins with your two-seam pitches as well. Try to get more run to them if you're right-handed pitchers or cutters, right? Little sharper bite to them. Okay, this matters because it lessens the predictability for batters, right? We're trying to disrupt the hitter's timing. We're trying to keep them off balance. So more movement exacts more unpredictability with the pitch. Okay. Keeps them off balance. And then I was a heavier sinker, two-seam pitcher, and so I would induce a lot of poor contact on hitters because the ball would look good coming in, they would swing, but then it would have late action life to it, and that late action would miss the barrel, and they would end up grounding out on the pitch or popping up or doing something that was favorable to me a lot of the time. Because of my movements, right? So something to consider and work on is your movement of all your pitches. All right, so now we're on the final pillar, right? Coming up, pillar number 6 is your pitchability. This is a big word, okay? And what is pitchability? Going back to movements, it's the combination of the movements plus the command, okay? So having a variety of pitches that you can throw in command of where I want the pitch to go. If it's a curveball, and I can put it there. I want the changeup to go here, and I can put it there, right? And the key components to this, you have to have extreme confidence in your pitches and your ability to throw those pitches for this to happen. Because usually I get pretty good about fastball pitchability, but my changeup pitchability, I'm not so good. I can get it. I can be controlled, but I can't really be too commandful. The highest level guys that you see when you watch MLB games and even MILB games, they're getting there. But for the most part, you see, and I see this out of starting pitchers more, but those guys have really a decent idea about their pitchability. They're able to control their curveballs in specific locations pretty well, right? I'm sure you guys would agree with that, right? You have to have the skill to execute this, right? To execute this. So it goes back to having a lot of these different pillars combined is going to help with your overall being as a pitcher, right? Know when to use them. So being game smart and reading hitters and knowing how to set hitters up is going to help too as well. And then how adaptable are you in game? Can you pivot and make different pitches in different times? And so one of our mottos at ARM is throw any pitch, any count, anytime. Okay, doesn't matter. You want that ability. Okay, if you can get that ability, you're going to be a pretty damn good competitor. I believe that 100%. Okay, and then I've got some stuff about mental toughness, to execute in any situation. Mental toughness goes back to mindset. And it is about being grit, but it's also about being, I don't think, there's enough. It's not about violence or fighting, but it's that spirit of competition that you need to drive, that willingness to win. And it's not at all costs, but some moments it is. You really have to be passionate about being a great competitor and being mentally tough on the mound, handling adversity. It's going to go a long ways with this and execution. Okay, so look, here's my point with all of this, guys. If you can get really good or master 3 or 4 of these elements, three or four of these pillars, there's a good chance you're going to play up in levels. Okay, there's no guarantee, but if you can stay healthy and you can really get really good at these pillars, okay, you're going to play high school, you're going to play college, you're potentially going to play minor league baseball, you're potentially going to make it to the highest level, right? If you have all 6 of these pillars down at a really, really high level, you're going to be a major league baseball player. I would almost guarantee that. And if you have all 6 of these pillars, pretty much guarantee. I'm trying to think of a reason why you wouldn't be, but I just can't at the moment. But anyways, curious to know your guys' thoughts on the presentation today and what you guys thought about some of the things that I provided for you on my pillars to pitching and pitching success, right? And then if you have a different rank order, put those in the comments section, right? If you would, on the way out, as we close, hit the like button for me. And then if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content that I provide to the baseball community, I invite you to hit subscribe for more pitching content or more baseball content as I provide it and go along in these videos. So anyways, happy Friday. I appreciate all of you. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys soon, okay?